So I wanted to talk about the timing of the dart jump, and particularly because it's used so much for the entire run, it's pretty important that we get a hold of when we time it. So as you can see, this is the level Brain Plea, doing this jump fairly well timed and everything. But I want to show off a setup. So if you move into the crook here next to the teleporter, you can get positioned fairly well so that pretty much if you nail the jump timing, you can get across without issue. But also of note, you don't need to use the limb, this arm here. You can do it from pretty much any angle. So the critical factor is timing. I do fail this jump here. But you get the point. It can work from pretty much any angle in this area. So let's talk about timing. The critical factor here is when you transition out of the dart jump and into morph form or gun form. That determines all of your momentum from the dart jump. And so there's a number of frames here you should pay attention to because that's going to determine what kind of jump you get. So right now, you can see in the gamepad display over here, I'm hitting L1 right on this frame. So the sword has just left his hand, it's still right in front of him. This is the ideal frame to hit. So this trick is almost frame perfect. I would say you have 2 to 3 frames in which it can work decently well, but a lot of the tricks are going to be frame precise. So if we play this, you can see it makes it across just fine. If you nail that timing, you're good. This one is a frame early. Now I want you to pay very careful attention to this, because you see how bad that jump was. 1 frame early, and it's practically like you just jumped off the cliff by yourself. There was no distance you got, no momentum carried by the darting slash, and that's the entire issue. So anytime you mess up a jump, you can know I was a frame early if it's like you had just jumped off a cliff. So let's look at another example. This one, I believe, is also a frame early. You can see this is the ideal frame here, and this is the frame before. We're going to get a very similar lame jump. Anytime you get that, it seems to be consistent in my testing, you don't get the distance you need. This one is perfectly timed, so you know you're going to go pretty far. I failed that one, but whatever. So it's worth noting, if you do a frame after, you also do fairly well. So this one, I believe, is timed 1 frame after. So you see we have our perfect frame, and we have the frame after. And we also get a very good jump out of that, to the point where we can make it across. So about a 2 frame window, but this does vary quite a bit. I want to show you some examples here where the timing is maybe inconsistent, hard to decipher. So this is this is 2 frames early, actually. And you can see, not a great jump, but it is better than 1 frame early. You gain some momentum out of it, so you can instantly tell what kind of timing you had based on the jump you get out of it. There are unusual cases. This one is perfectly timed, right? But it didn't do very well. It didn't go very far. Part of me wonders if that's a collision with the geometry or some sort of other issue that needs more research. So one last one, real fast, is this is a null frame. You see me going back and forth between the frames. The only thing that's changing is down here on the gamepad. And so I'm hitting L1 as a frame does not update. And so that still gets you a good jump, but it's going to be one of those things where you can't necessarily tell from the footage what you got exactly. So anyways, that's some of the critical stuff. But I also want to show you, this is critical for every level. This is the level Transit Seedlings. If you do not nail this jump perfectly with the timing, you're not going to make it. At least in my experience. So as you can see here, perfectly timed, get across just fine. That seems to be the consistent thing with a lot of the jumps in the game. So just keep in mind, you're probably dealing with a 1 to 2 frame window for a lot of the jumps. Anyways, that's about it.